Hello and welcome to my meditation. My name is Debra Baker and I am so grateful that you have joined us for this little while. We all deserve just a nice break, just to relax and not have to think of anything. So if you just want to listen to the music in the background or tune my voice out and just give yourself this gift of some time, do it. And if you want to hear what I have to say, I had a very interesting revelation this past week. And, I think all of us have these revelations which are more like having a deeper understanding of something that we already knew. So I will share it with you and let's get started. As usual, let's begin with our 3 nice, really deep breaths. First time breathing into your chest. Holding it for a moment or as long as it's comfortable, and then releasing it out really slowly. And now this time breathe into your chest and your upper back. Just expand your skin and your chest and your upper back. And hold it for a moment. And then release it really slowly. And now let's take the deepest breath we've taken all day, breathing into your chest and your back and your belly. Really fill up your lungs. Hold it for a moment or so, and then release it really, really slowly. And now just breathe normally, and as usually happens when a person is in meditation, your breathing will slow down, and your heart rate will also slow down, and your brain will shift to the brain wave of meditation. So let's just do kind of a mini body relaxer. Just draw everything up to the center line, imagining that there's an axis that goes from between your feet all the way up to the crown of your head, and press everything to the middle. Pull your arms into your sides. And just squeeze, 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 squeeze. Tuck your chin. Squeeze. Hold it for a breath cycle. And then release it in the exhale. Just notice your whole body relaxing. So I highly encourage you to have people that you can speak to about spiritual matters. And I have many of those kinds of people in my life. And in particular this week, 2 of them really kind of one after the other brought me to this realization that I mentioned earlier. So I was talking to my sister about letting go, because you know how you have those things that dog you. You can't seem to let them go. Whether it's a resentment or a memory, a sadness, somebody who hurt you or somebody betrayed you, whatever it is, you know what it is. So let's just think about that for a moment. Whatever it is, just let it come to mind. Just don't do anything with it. Just let it come to mind. And I'll bet that you have tried on more than one occasion to let it go. And people tell you, let it go. Somebody told me something about something I'd been holding on to just a few weeks ago, and he said, let that stuff go. Only he didn't use the word stuff. But he was right. I was like, holding on to it wasn't serving me or anyone else, but I had to figure out how to let it go, because I had been trying for years to let it go. And so in talking to my sister about letting things go, I asked my guides, as I often do when I'm having a deep conversation with someone, and I stopped, and the realization came to me that before we can let something go, we need to feel the emotion around it. So let's revisit whatever it is that you can't seem to let go of. And this time, think about, we'll do it four quick times. First time, think about if you're angry about anything around it. And what is, don't get into the drama of the anger. Just think about if you feel angry, head, neck, and shoulders, and you know what that anger's about, or what it brings up. And now check in again and see if you feel sad, if there's some grief, there's some sadness there that maybe you haven't felt before or you don't want to feel. Just see if there's anything there in your heart space. And just feel it. Don't try to analyze it or explain it. Just see if there's anything there. And now let's look and see if there's any fear around it. Or maybe it was even a fear that, happened. Something you'd been fearing actually happened. Or maybe it brought up a fear of something that might happen. But just see if there's anything in your stomach that's not sitting right with it. Just breathe into your gut. And know that emotions are our natural response to life. We don't have to explain them. They just are. And now see if you have any shame around it. We usually feel shame in our pelvis or our extremities. And breathe all the way down to your tailbone. Breathe in love, bring out love, or breathe out love. And lastly, let's see if there's any confusion. Is there any confusion around this whole thing, either what happened or about the process we're going through now? If there is, just let it be. Don't try to fix it. Just let it be. So that brings me to the second conversation I had in the same day, which was with my BFF. And I was sharing with her the realization from my earlier conversation. And she said, yes. You can't release, you can't let go of what you haven't held. So it's like you have a sandwich in your hand and you want to get the energy from it, and then you throw it away. Well, you can't get the energy from it unless you eat it. And I'm not saying you have to eat your emotions. Maybe that was a silly example. But what I'm saying is giving yourself permission to sit with it. Because I'll tell you, after we give ourselves just a little more time to sit with it, I'll tell you what happened with mine. Giving yourself permission to experience it fully on an emotional level. And if it's a huge thing, a huge loss or a significant betrayal or who knows what, you may have layers and layers of emotions that come up. So it may not be just a one-shot thing. But whatever it is today, we're going to allow it to be and then create space to release it. But before we release it, let's think about compassion. Because my sense, very often, after we have ourselves felt an emotion or acknowledged someone else's emotion or just experience, we arrive at the place of compassion, which means you understand yourself a little better because you are in a non-judgmental space. And perhaps you understand the other person or even an organization. So in my situation, I was very disappointed with some legal advice that I had paid a lot of money for, and the attorney didn't know what she was doing. She kept giving me answer after answer after answer, and none of them were the same. And then she gave free legal advice for the person that was on the other side of the table. And it irritated me for years, and now I realize, because I allowed myself to feel my anger and my frustration and my sadness and my shame and my fear, I realized how she must have been feeling. I'm sure she didn't want to admit to me that she didn't know how to do what I was asking her to do. She said at one point, I need to consult with someone else. But I don't know whether she did or she couldn't remember what she'd been told. But it was very non-satisfactory. And I was very disappointed. But now I can see the whole situation through eyes of compassion for her. She didn't know what she was doing, didn't know how to get there, and then was bullied by someone, which I had experienced myself. So I now I'm at a place where I can understand it, and it doesn't bother me anymore. And I think the process was allowing myself to be present to it, to hold it, to hold it so long that I could see all sides of it. You know, the lit crystal ball in the video is on a swivel. So I could turn it around, just like I could turn around in my thoughts the situation until I could see it from all sides. And know that at the end of the day, I am being taken care of by my higher power, by the universe, by the infinite, you know, whatever you want to call it. I know that my God is there, moving in, through, and as me. And I don't need to hold this anymore. But it's not a matter of thinking of it and saying, I'm going to let that go. At least in my case, and probably for most people I know. There's a little bit more to the process. And I think it really requires us to give ourselves grace. To be compassionate with yourself. If there's something you can't let go, there's something unfinished about it. So I sweetly and lovingly suggest that you pick it up again, look at it from all sides, feel what you need to feel about it until you reach a place of compassion, whether it's for yourself or for the other person, ideally for both, or maybe the other group, or whatever it is, what led you to that situation. And then we ask with an open heart to be released, to let it go. And chances are, once you work through it, there isn't anything left to release. Because the process of feeling it seems to be also the process of releasing it. I invite you to welcome in the grace of the infinite into your heart and into your mind. And know that you deserve to be free of the burden you've been carrying, whatever it may be. Let's take another nice deep breath. So I invite you to continue to give yourself grace and to remember that you truly are whole and perfect exactly as you are. There's nothing less than or deficient or wrong with you at all. So I hope that this was helpful to you, and if it was, I invite you to share it with a friend. Because who gives you instructions on life? Who teaches you how to let something go? I never got any lessons in it. It's, I think all of us are just kind of finding our way, and when we give each other a helping hand and some love and support, we walk the journey together. So thank you for walking this journey with me. And I want to remind you again that you are whole and perfect exactly as you are, in the one presence and the one power moving in, through, and as me honors and recognizes the one presence moving in, through, and as you. Namaste. Have a wonderful week.